Okay, good morning, Law and Order Committee members and everyone listening in on the call. Roll call for Law and Order Committee, regular meeting via telecommunication and location Upper Fruitland Chapter. October 25th, 2021, 10 o'clock a.m. Honorable Madam Chair Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton is present.
Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton is present. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James present.
Honorable Vince James is present. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Otto So.
I am present.
Honorable Otto So is present. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Here.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie is present. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 4 members present, which constitutes a quorum, Vice Chair.
Thank you very much for being on the line. With that, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the agenda. And on that, roll call has been conducted. We'll call for invocation. Can I have Edmund, Edmund, can you provide the invocation? Honorable Yazzie.
Okay. Vice Chair, committee members, good morning, staff, and everybody that's listening. I'll go ahead and say prayer. Okay. Let's pray, everyone. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, Father. We thank you for this beautiful morning that you've given us, Lord. We just ask for your guidance this morning, Lord. Just be with the committee members, be with our loved ones, Father. We ask that you just be with our leaders. And Father, we just ask for safety wherever we go and just help us to have a good meeting, Lord. And again, Father, just be with our leadership all the way from the DC level to our Navajo Nation leadership, the council, the speaker, president, vice, and again, the council, Father. So we just ask for a good, productive meeting, Father, as we handle business for the Navajo Nation, Father. We thank you again, Lord, and this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Vice Chair?
Okay, thank you very much for the prayer this morning, Honorable Yazzie. With that, moving forth, recognizing guests and visiting officials. We have 2 reports today, so members of the Upper Fruitland Chapter, can you please introduce yourselves? Just introduction only. Thank you.
Oh, good morning. Yat and here. She Lisa Bird Unisha. Bit any eight Nash Nishle. Tolichini eight Dene Bashin Ashihi eight Dene Dashache. And my Dishkini eight Dashanella. I am from the Upper Fruitland chapter. I was born in Chaco Canyon area, but I moved to Fruitland when I was 12. So I have resided here all of my adult years. And I am currently the chapter vice president here with Upper Fruitland. I did start as the office aide and progressed into my position here as the chapter vice president. Yeah, thank you for this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other Upper Fruitland Chapter officials on the line?
Yes, she's right here. Hold on, I'm going to switch her up. Go ahead.
Yes, I've been. Let me take off my mask. Yes, I've been a Shay Doris Smith, Secretary Treasurer for Upper Fruitland. An inshla kile chini bashin da shanale topa da che kia ani. Rotsa ben this kaya yite nasha do ehe koegi in kota house aigi. Do wada e ya jono achada di nito jono achada di so ehe. Thanks for the invite and all of you have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other Upper Fruitland Chapter officials on the line? Not hearing anything. Moving forth, Navajo Nation Oil and Gas. Introduction, Mr. Leonard L. Sosi.
Oh, yeah, education, not vice chair, and then also Madam Chair, along with the Law and Order Committee members, I'd like to say good morning. She Leonard L. Sosi, in Shiedo and the Chairman of the Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company Board. Atona atlinigi ek ahinani ten and shlido putsoni bashishin net otene touching dasha chedo kia ani dashanella.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other Navajo Oil and Gas staff on the line?
Yes, Chairman, Vice Chairman. This is James McClure, CEO of Navajo Nation Oil and Gas. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. McClure. Good to hear you. Thank you.
Thanks.
With that, I believe today's business that we have pertaining to the two reports, and then also that's all we have for now. Any other council delegates on the line? Members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Any other delegate on the line?
To respond to those questions.
Not hearing anything. With that, I'm going to move forward on the agenda and moving down to item number 3, review and adoption of the agenda. With that, I'm going to have Lorraine move forward to read the agenda into the record.
Good morning, everybody. Members of the Law and Order Committee. Agenda of the Law and Order Committee, 24th Navajo Nation Council, regular meeting through telecommunication or in person, October 25th, 2021, 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Vice Chair Altuso and Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, Chairwoman. Location, Upper Fruitland Chapter, Upper Fruitland, New Mexico, through teleconference and in-person meeting. 1, call meeting to order, roll call and invocation. Number 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review and adopt agenda. Number 4, review and adopt agendas. There's none. 5, receive reports. A, report from Upper Fruitland Chapter officials. Ms. Lisa Marie Bird, Chapter Vice President, on the public safety matters surrounding the Upper Fruitland Chapter areas. B, report from Leonard L. Sosi, Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company CEO and Chairman of the Board in regards to operating agreements, helium exploration and development at 3 sites on Navajo Nation. 6, old business, none. 7, new business. 8, discussion purpose. Reschedule the cross deputy program on the Navajo Nation. This was scheduled on October 11th, 2021. Due to a holiday, the meeting was canceled. 8, close of meeting announcement and adjournment. Mr. Vice Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine, for reading the agenda into the record. With that, could I get a motion? Can I get a motion for the agenda?
Vice Chair, I'll make the motion, sir.
Motion by Edmund Yazzie. And call for a second motion.
Second, Delegate James.
Second by Honorable Vince James. With that, the agenda has been read into the record. So I'm going to turn it over to the floor. Is there any questions pertaining to the agenda? Not hearing anything. And go once, twice, 3 times. Sherelle, go ahead and move forth with roll call vote for accepting the agenda. Thank you.
Honorable Madam Chair Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair not voting. Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. The motion carries, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair not voting. With that, reviewing, adopting agenda. So our agenda has been set, and we have an agenda that's going to move forward. So right now, I'm going to go on to number 4 on the agenda. And number 4 is reviewing, adopting journals. We don't have any. There's none. I'm going to move on to item number 5, receiving reports on on the agenda right now. 5A, report from Upper Fruitland Chapter officials. Ms. Lisa Marie Bird, Vice President, on the public safety matters surrounding the Upper Fruitland and Chapter area. With that, earlier Lisa Marie Bird is on the line, the Chapter Vice President, and Dora Smith, Chapter Secretary. So with that, just so you have the chapter officials from the Upper Fruitland Chapter, the formality of the committee. You have 20 minutes to present to the committee, and afterwards, if additional time is needed, we will grant that. But it's usually 5 to 10 minutes at the least to the most. And then from there, we move forth with Q&A from the committee members, or from the Law and Order committee members. So, with that, Lisa Bird, I know you're on the line.
Yes.
And right now it is 10:21. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna recognize you to bring your present your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this time, and I'd just like to ask everybody to kindly mute your phones. That way I can't hear any background conversations or anything. I am the chapter vice president here, and if you are on Zoom and you can see, I'm a pretty young member of being a chapter official, and so I would like to report the safety concerns involving our community that has come to light since I would want to say the casino has opened. There has been a lot increased volume of traffic on this highway N36. And for those of you that don't know, highway N36 runs from the Bistai Highway through Upper Fruitland, through Ninanazad, through San Juan chapters, and into the Shiprock chapter area. I believe it's about just over 17, 18 miles. If I'm incorrect, forgive me. But on this highway, we have a number of pedestrians that walk, that we have pedestrian accidents. I had visited Window Rock last 2 weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I really admired how their community had sidewalks and how their highways were very maintained. And at this point in time, I am currently trying, as I tell my co-officials, trying to build bridges with other entities, such as Navajo NDOT, Navajo BIA Roads, the Navajo Nation Gaming Enterprise, working with the local schools, Ojo Amarillo, Central Consolidated. I actually did invite all of those that I just named out, just so they could listen. And that way, you know, if they had any concerns, that they would be able to contact me and I could relay that to the committee. The main issue of public safety, I believe, is working together. I think we're trying to work together with the Navajo Nation. As you know, we're right on the border of Farmington, New Mexico. So we also sometimes have involvement with the Sheriff's Department here and the New Mexico State Police Department. And they are involved in the more serious cases here on the reservation, and do also back up the Navajo Police Department. I really wanted to make light of the increase of safety concerns. I think since the casino has came into be housed here in Fruitland, and I know that they're also near the Gallup area and the Twin Arrows. I have gotten a report from the the New Mexico DOT, and I could forward that report. But in that report, there's a map of an area that shows pedestrian accidents that involve either cars or just pedestrians alone, and that happened on the highways, New Mexico highways. It included the reservation area, and this N36 highway and Highway 64 are lit up like a Christmas tree on that map. The northwest side of the state's highways are infiltrated with DWI crashes, accidents, and I'm just trying to find a way to work with all of these different entities so that we can bring more awareness. I know a couple of years ago that there was a big campaign against DWIs, and then there was also one for the trashy, toss no moss. And since that has gone away, I haven't really heard much of any announcements like that on commercials or the radio anymore. Noticing a lot of illegal dumping in our area. I know that when I listen in on other meetings, that is a big concern, and a major concern for communities is illegal dumping of trashes. And so, just being aware of where this is happening and letting the proper people know, which is the Navajo EPA, to give them notice of what is going on, where it's going on, and hopefully can come up with a plan to resolve it, to clean it up. So far, I've counted about 6 dump sites here in about a 5-mile radius here in Fruitland. And one is about not even a quarter mile from our chapter house, right off of one of our main roads. Somebody dumps their trash there. So there's a lot of things, and trying to work with Navajo police has been great. That's been a very, very nice experience. I actually have been one of me and my secretary treasurer were asked to do a ride along, and we participated in the Navajo Police Department ride along program, in which that opened our eyes tremendously to the struggles that our officers face on a daily basis. Watching an officer tend to kids while the proper responsible parties come to pick them up, and then handing their lunch to them because the kids are hungry. And so I think there's things that we can do to try to help our local departments. And the more communication that we have with each other, I think the more successful that will be. Hopefully, with this Law and Order Committee, I am very excited that we're bringing light to a lot of issues that it's hard to talk about. Bootlegging, illegal, dumping of trash. For our community, my concern is the increased volume of traffic and crime that has come along in our area within the last 10 years. There's been a couple of murders in the community. I know there was one not too long ago in, I don't want to say what community, but it's from here to Shiprock. There was a homicide, and it's very disturbing to hear about that, to see that, and to try to explain that to your kids, why there's so much violence where we live, and why that this violence is so near, even because we're so near. For us, being on the border, I think we're very fortunate to have access to, just even grocery stores, convenience stores, and the police department. So one of the things that my president, and I know that she is actually out of town right now, we were discussing this, and we were talking about, substations and how that would really come into play if we would be able to invite the Navajo Police Department to be a partner with us and use our substation. When we wanted to find out, I know that I had talked to Captain Red Horse. Well, actually, I've been talking to him since I was sworn in as a chapter official. And I asked him, what do you need to make your job easier or to help you in your job? And his main thing was his budget. And to this day, I have not, he has not, said that the budget has been changed. I know it was about near 800,000. And that's pretty much pennies compared to some departments. I know that we're a very rural and very spread out nation. So that's a lot of our challenges that we're facing, is to figure out how to better serve our communities, better serve our people, make them safer. And I think that if we can talk about a plan, or if there's plans in place. I know that I'm just beginning in this realm of meetings and trying to resolve issues in the community, and just listening to all the ideas, listening mainly to the people, the communities that talks. And my phone number is out there. The chapter's always open 8 to 5 except for lunch, and there's always someone here to answer questions. And so just wanting to really know how we can work together to get even more funding for our police department, or what we could do to help them on our end. And the Title 17 changes, I know that they were talking about changes that were coming. So far, I know that nothing has happened yet. I know that it's still in the works, that they're working with council, law and order committee, and Title 17 needs to be revised tremendously. So I know that is being worked on right now. So once that gets revised, then I believe we should be getting informed by the law and order committee, I believe. And then I think that's all I really had. That was just my main concern about the increased volume of traffic in our area and the increased volume of crime. Thank you. And and that's all I have for right now. That was the main concern. And we have chapter president Norm Begay here from Ninanazad, and he's also in attendance, just an FYI for your attendance list. But that's all I have right now. And just wanted to get a better understanding of the cross deputy program that is trying to be implemented in our communities. And just want to say what great work the Navajo Police Department, all the first responders, your committee does, all the delegates, council, President Nez. We all have to work together in this to make a difference. And hopefully, prayers and fingers crossed we'll be able to do that. That's all I have for right now. Thank you for your time. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for your report. Going to call for a motion from the floor. Committee members?
Motion by Charles Newton.
Motion by Charles Newton. Second motion? Second motion going once? Second motion going twice?
I'll second.
Second by Honorable Edwin Yazzie. With that, committee members, is there any questions to Upper Fruitland chapter Lisa Bird, who presented her to this committee, and also Norm Begay, the Upper Fruitland chapter official, is on the line, and then also Dora Smith, the secretary treasurer from Upper Fruitland. With that, turn the floor over to the committee. Is there any comments and questions?
Just a quick correction.
Hold on. We already established a motion. We
Okay.
already established a second. Right now, your presentation's over. So we're going to the floor right now to the committee members. Committee members, is there any questions to the Upper Fruitland chapter officials who presented to the committee at this time?
This is Delegate Charles Newman.
Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you, and thank you so much for that presentation, Ms. Bird. It sounds like it's been very well thought out, and you have a report, or you're speaking directly from a report with what your concerns are. So I'd like to ask you if you could send us that report so that we have that in our record and that we can properly reply to the concerns that you've brought to this committee. In terms of the sidewalk issue and wanting to build that, you technically have to work with your delegate on that. I know that I recently had a meeting with the New Mexico Department of Transportation because we're trying to expand our sidewalks here in the Shiprock community. So it just, everything kind of depends on funding. I believe the area that you're talking about might be on the state right of way. That's really kind of the first step, is determining, who owns the road and then who we have to work with. If it's not New Mexico Department of Transportation, it would certainly be Navajo Nation Department of Transportation. But it's always a question of whether the road is on the Navajo Nation inventory list. So that's one is, I will let you know that you work directly with your delegate on that. Two, in terms of the transfer stations and, the substations and your proposal. I do have, can you give me the booklet for public safety? I do have a list of the substations that were proposed to us by Division of Public Safety during the presentation when we had a work session not too long ago. But in terms of the substations, the substations that were listed on the I'm trying to flip to the page while I'm sitting here. But we have Alamo, Annis, Burnside, Cameron, Inscription House, Lachey, Pueblo Pintada, Rama, Red Mesa, Rough Rock, Sheep Springs, Shiprock, Tohajale, Tohatchee, and Salee as the places that would be receiving a substation. I would like to remind the committee and also the chapter officials that this list was not created by the delegates. It was not created by Law and Order Committee. This list was created by the Division of Public Safety Director Jesse Delmar and the Chief Justice Joanne James. The way that I apologize for getting ready to banter, but the way that it works is they presented the areas that need substations, and that's what we're going to do through this today, is to talk about those substations and funding. In terms of getting a substation, I'm glad that you're working with Captain Red Horse. He is a good guy. He is making a lot of changes, and I really enjoy working with him as well. So perhaps we can have a separate conversation. I don't know if you guys already have a location selected for the substation, or if you're wanting it out of your chapter. That was one of the questions that we had back in 2019 to Division of Community Development. We had asked if it was possible for police stations or, to be working out of the chapter house. And at that time, we were told that it wasn't. So I'm not sure, what kind of plan. I'll be right behind you. Go ahead. So I'm not really sure at this point where, I guess this is the first time hearing about this, and I don't know if you guys had talked to Jesse Dahmer prior to, having the discussion about the substation. So I think we need to have a little bit more conversation on the substation and also on what you guys want to see. It does combat crime because we know studies have shown that police presence in communities actually deters crime in a lot of instances. So what I am hoping is that we can again have a more in-depth conversation about the substation and about what the needs are there for public safety. And then last, I do want to say that we are working on updating Title 17, the criminal code. I know that there has been a huge issue with bootlegging, with drugs, being sold, and that's one of the things that we're trying to address. We have had several meetings. We were hoping to have a draft presented before council for fall session. However, we weren't able to get that done. So I do apologize for that. So now we are pushing to, thank you. We are pushing to try to get this done by winter session. So we are working on that. And again, we're going to be putting it out there. It's going to go through the 5-day comment period. So I just wanted to update you on that. And I do apologize for the background noise. And then also, as I stated earlier, I am on my way now to Washington, D.C. I'm boarding the plane right now. So hopefully I'll be able to get a response before we take off. If not, then if we could get a copy of your report, that would be great. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair, for your questions there. I know you're getting on the phone. I'm not too sure if you want to hear the answers, but maybe a written answer to you would be would be sufficient. And I know that you have to turn your phone off once you get onto the plane. So they deal with that. With that, committee members, is there any other questions to Upper Fruitland chapter at this time? Not hearing anything. Go once, twice, 3 times. Before I call for the question, I'm going to just indicate to Upper Fruitland chapter, a lot of what you talked about on your concerns pertaining to the chapter here, increase the pay of traffic. I'm not too sure if the community wants more people to come into the area or things like that. Just wondering why, because to me, in 36, there has always been a back road, faster way to get to Farmington as you're coming from from Red Valley or Gallup or somewhere up there. So it's always been like that. Or they make the shortcut from Shiprock into Nappy, or they'll go through they'll go Fruitland, cross at the bridge there at Ninahanzad and make their way up. So that traffic control, I guess that everyday everyday travelers, but that would be a collaboration from INDOT. The other is that I guess public safety, looking at the issue of is there more illegal activity that public safety has on record maybe you're speaking to something that public safety has given you guys. So if you guys have documentation that public safety has given you, please forward that information to us so that we can look at that pertaining to the justification of why the increase of traffic. Because if something needs to happen pertaining to the roads on Navajo jurisdiction, Navajo Department of Transportation is going to need a justification. Also, talking about sidewalks and highway cleaning and so forth, I guess that would be a discussion between the chapter and INDOT, because those are capital projects that it would be listed under. The other is that I guess the pedestrian and accident. See if you could get us that information together so that we have that. Public safety presents a report to the committee, but it's really to a minimal. The other is that the illegal dumping, I guess, just make sure that you do have your records when you reach out to EPA, Navajo Nation EPA, because Navajo Nation EPA police officers do not really, how can I say, answer to Navajo Nation Public Safety. They're their own entity. So if it's been hard for you guys to get a hold of Navajo Nation EPA, please document that so that we can support that request in a form that, another support letter indicating that, if Fish and Wildlife or if EPA hasn't shown up yet, maybe we forward that letter so that we can remind them and send up a follow-up letter with a copy of that letter to that. And if you could get that to the committee, that'll be fine. Email them to Lorraine so that we could try to see where we could meet on that. The other is that bootlegging and increased traffic crimes such as Title 14, Title 17, murders and so forth are being discussed and talked about inside the Title 17 reversion. Title 14 will be revised pretty soon also. So with that, there's some of my comments there. The police substation, I guess that's a conversation piece that needs to happen with Jesse Delmore's office, because they are the entity that has set the build out of the public safety facility for the Navajo Nation over the next 2 years. So the requirements of a substation, is the land withdrawn? Is there infrastructure to the property? And all this stuff they would have to communicate with so that, a substation could be justified. So when these lists are made, those questions are asked. Is there a land withdrawal in place? Is there infrastructure in place? Is there phase 3 power line in place? All this stuff. And right now, the bigger component now is fiber and broadband. So those are a lot of the things that are in as part of the consideration for the public safety facility build out. And I would just make those recommendations to you so that you have a sort of a dialogue between the agency, and then you have dialogue between the committee. Just be aware, the agency such as public safety or Navajo Nation Department of Transportation or any other entities that you work with, they are a program that is functioning under the executive branch. So it would really be helpful to have those support documents so that one day that if one of the program has not responded, and the committee responds, we have that as our justification to say you were notified. And I would say that the council has two authorities. We enact laws and we appropriate funds. Those are the two rules, the two authorities that the Navajo Nation Council has. The authority to get the planning and the authority to get the jobs moving and things like that is the executive branch. And so that would need a lot of dialogue between the chapter and public safety to move forth the planning process of such as the so-called public, the substation, or any any input on Title 17 through the public safety, or anything pertaining to highways and roads, because we fund them every year. Every year they have the resources that we fund them for them to provide direct services to the Navajo Nation. So, with that, I've just encouraged that collaboration between your entity, the chapter, and the tribal program. And paper trail is what I look for, because if there's no paper trail and you're trying to get a program to come out and see some or review some, no paper trail, and they don't show up, we don't have any sort of justification or something to back us up, and we have to start back over from square one. So with that, that's all I request at this time. I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor back over to the presenter to answer the questions that were posed to them. With the Honorable Junior Charles Newton, maybe I request that her answers be provided in writing to her, so that it could be presented to her. But with my questions, the very few questions I had, can you just provide an answer for that, Ms. Bird? Thank you.
Excuse me.
Ms. Bird, you have the floor.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Delegate, so I appreciate you.
Please put away laptop computers, small handheld electronic devices may be used in airplane mode. So appreciate your cooperation.
Okay.
And I'm ready to go. So please take your seats, fasten your seatbelt, and so your
Hold on,
table
Ms. Bird.
Okay, sorry.
Staff, can you guys mute that phone? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Bird, move forth.
Delegate, so what questions, I'm sorry, there was a couple of questions that you had. Which one did you want? I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess the series of questions that I had there was pertaining to, I guess, whatever you could answer. I guess that's fine. But just wanted to make sure that you guys are in the loop, that you guys are aware that.
Got what you're saying. So,
and I guess whatever you could answer. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. So, public safety, I actually am just barely getting in the loop with them. And I'm going to be meeting with public safety on Friday. So this is one of the issues that I am going to bring up with her. Navajo DOT, working well with them, Larry Joe. And so actually we're working on missing highway signs and things like that. And the illegal dumping, like you said, it is really hard to get a hold of the Navajo EPA, but we are documenting everything that we're seeing. We've asked the residents to make statements if they, notified that there's a dumping happening, to make a statement, and then we usually take the pictures and keep all that information. The chapter manager has that. And as far as the substation, we do have a building, we do have power to it. It would be on chapter premises, but not in the chapter. It would actually be probably in our old senior center building, which is located across the street. So if you're familiar with Fruitland, it's right near the Walter Collins. If you ever came here before, there's an old senior center on the north side of the Walter Collins, and that we would most likely put it there. We are working with the nation, and fiber optic and broadband is pretty tricky because they say they're bringing it to us, and so we just have to wait for it. There's no real instruction on what it's going to be like what exactly we're going to be able to obtain from it. That is one thing I was unclear about. And then let's see, agency, and that was basically it. Just like you said, trying to build these relationships with these different entities. One thing I wanted to also mention was maybe we can do well for Fruitland a campaign. I know that you said that you know, it is a shortcut, but I do want to remind people that it is also a residential area. The highway speed limit reads 55 and people go about 90 to you know, anywhere from like 70 to 90, and that's the normal. And there have been, you know, like major accidents because of this. And I'm actually working on getting a report. It's going to cost, but I'm actually working on getting a report, trying to get a report on DWI drunk driving related accidents on this N36 highway. And that one I'm trying to obtain from the New Mexico Department of Transportation. So trying to just get all the information and build these bridges with these different entities that I can, making not only the people aware, but ourselves aware. I know a lot of things that we overlook because we don't experience it. That kind of was how I was with the Navajo Police Department. I used to always say, gosh, they're never here, or, you know, until I went on a ride along, and it actually gave me a whole new respect for those officers and what they do, and, you know, the efforts that they put in to keep us safe on a daily basis. So just trying to work with them on communicating, and like, you know, we have a trunk or treat that we are having, and they are going to attend it. And actually, I do have an officer, Sergeant Foster here. I did invite him. Initially, I did invite Captain Red Horse, but he had prior engagement. So Sergeant Foster is on the line, and I just asked him to listen in because maybe there's something that we're not seeing that he sees and he experiences on a daily basis. And so I kind of wanted all ears at the meeting if possible, but I think we got a pretty good turnout. But basically, those are the questions or the answers that I have. I do want to work more with the casino because I know that when the casino opened, there was a lot of things that were supposed to be done that have not been done. So I'm gonna going through old resolutions. That's one thing I'm working on right now, is just reading old resolutions and seeing if there's anything there we can use to help us with the issues that we have right now. But that's all I have for now, Delegate. So yeah, for your input. And I just wanted to do a quick correction. Norman Begay is here in attendance in person, and he is the chapter manager of Ninanazad. I'm sorry, chapter president, sorry. They don't have I'm sorry about that, a chapter president for Ninanazad chapter. So he is here.
Okay,
so
thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will go ahead and take your comments there. With that, we will go ahead and I appreciate your report to the committee. Again, earlier I asked if the committee members asked if they had a question. There was none, so I put the last question in. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move forward for roll call vote. Sherelle, move forward with the roll call vote.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair, Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair, you only have one in favor.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go back and Honorable Vince James, are you on the line? Honorable Vince James, are you on the line? Once, twice, 3 times. And maybe not, we may not have quorum. Sherelle, can you provide roll call votes?
Okay, Vice Chair. Honorable Madam Chair Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Otto So.
I'm present.
Honorable Otto So is present. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Here.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie is present. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James, present.
Honorable Vince James is present. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Vice Chair, you have 3 members present.
Okay, go ahead and move forward with roll call vote for that last report.
Okay. Honorable.
Also, Cameron Nez has been with us. So,
Okay.
Chairman Rick Nez. So, FYI, for the record, he is on the line. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair, you have 2 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair not voting. Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion carries 2 in favor, 0 opposed, Vice Chair not voting. And your report has been accepted by the committee, and the information that you have provided for the committee and additional information, please present that to the Law and Order so that we could continue to look at these documents and try to support you for your needs, such as the proposed public safety substation that you guys have, a building that you may be able to work with and work with public safety to house those individuals there. With that, and then especially with the traffic issues, just something in writing so that we know that had been presented to the committee. I didn't indicate only. So with that, going on to the next item on the agenda is Navajo Nation Oil and Gas 5B. And
Yes.
hold on, before you start, Mr. El Sosi, you've been before this committee. You understand the reporting mechanism, and right now your report is basically agreement, helium exploration, and development of the 3 sites in the Navajo Nation. So you have 20 minutes to the committee, and after that, we'll go into Q&A with a motion second. With that, I will go ahead and say your time now is 11:04, and you have 30 minutes to present to the committee.
Yananat Vice Chair So, and then also the committee members that are on the line. We do appreciate your time and also to allow us to present to the Law and Order Committee here. And definitely we are looking forward to present to the committee on our progress that we have made up to now and where our next step and effort will be. So with that, I'd like to give the time to our CEO, Mr. McClure. So James, go ahead.
Thank you, Leonard. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, James, we can hear you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. So just wanted to confirm that the presentation materials that we sent, I'm not sure which version, we sent a version a couple of weeks ago, and then we sent another version, I think, yesterday. Just want to confirm that y'all have received that. Vice Chair, I'm not sure if you heard me, but I'm just checking to ensure that everybody has the presentation materials.
Mr. McClure, yes, the presentation has been emailed out to the committee. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Then I'm going to walk through each of these slides. Really, our purpose for today is to communicate about our progress on negotiating 3 operating agreements for development of helium on the Navajo Nation. NOG has been working with the Navajo Nation Minerals Department and the Department of Justice over the last several months as we finalize those agreements. We have met with the various committees of the Navajo Nation Council, and today is our opportunity to meet with the Law and Order Committee. So again, thank you for your time. We want to ensure that all the committee members and all council members are familiar with the context on helium and what NOG's development strategy is for development of the helium. I think the key message that we're trying to stress is that helium is not a fossil fuel, and I will get into some of the uses of helium on the next slide, but we want to ensure that that's really well understood by the Navajo Nation Council and executive branch and its people. The 3 operating agreements are located in 2 chapter areas. We've worked with those chapters on passing supporting resolutions for development of helium in their region. And those chapters are the Tohatchee Wash area, which is near Tisnaspas chapter. And then we have the 2nd and 3rd operating agreements are over the Beautiful Mountain area and the Porcupine Dome area, which is near the Sanasti chapter. And again, we've received supporting resolutions from them. On slide number 3 is to highlight why invest in helium. Helium it's in short supply currently, and it's a required low density, odorless, non-flammable gas that supports several important industries that impact humanity. First on the top of the list is the medical industry. It's a supercoolant used in MRI machines. It's also supportive of a non-reactive atmosphere, which helps in the manufacturing of semiconductors, which is supportive of our phones, of our computers, and so forth. And then also it's used in ultra deep scuba diving as a compressed air substitute. Slide number 4 just expands on the uses of helium. I think more recently you've seen a dramatic increase in use in the aerospace industry as you've seen these manned flights to outer space. Of course, I think we're all familiar with weather balloons and party balloons as being a use for helium, but when it comes to the market of helium and where we could actually sell the helium product into the market, MRI technology, medical grade helium is really at the top of the list. That's what we're actually trying to pursue as often as possible. Slide number 5 talks about some of the key points around helium development. Helium is being constantly emitted from the Earth since the Earth's birth, and that's something that I think everybody needs to be aware of. What we're trying to do at NOG is search for trapped helium. So these tend to occur in structural traps caused by faulting in the subsurface. And what we're trying to ultimately do is find that trapped helium, produce it to the surface, and then market it. The Navajo Nation is blessed with some of the richest helium deposits in the world. We've actually have production in an area that yields 8 to 10% of the gas stream as being helium, which is a really high quantity. So we should be very grateful that the Navajo Nation is blessed with this resource. Helium's associated with nitrogen normally. So that 8 to 10% is being helium. The majority of the remainder of the gas stream is nitrogen, and nitrogen is another clear, odorless, non-toxic, non-flammable gas. We breathe nitrogen. It makes up 78% of the Earth's atmosphere, and so that tends to be what's most associated with helium discoveries. Helium deposits in the subsurface tend to be small, and they can be developed with a low number of wells. So my point here is that it's not the Aneth oil field that we're talking about here in each of these various deposits. We anticipate the wells will be short-lived, so the community impact should be short in tenure. That's not to say that they won't produce for as much as 10 years, but when you compare that to the Aneth oil field that's been in production since the 50s and 60s, they don't really compare as an equivalency. And I think the other thing to consider is just the number of wells. Typically, the structural development for these three areas that we're currently looking at, you should be able to develop them for as little as maybe 3 to 4 wells to as many as maybe 20 wells. So it depends on the size of the resource, of course, and we'll have to learn more about that as we mature our exploration. Slide 6 is a cartoon that really highlights how helium is formed. The mantle and ultimately through its melting of the crust, it generates outputs helium that then migrates all the way to the surface. And as I said earlier, the Earth is constantly emitting helium at really small percentages. Helium discoveries in the past, where you find trapped helium, have accidentally been found by oil and gas exploration. So most of the helium that we've had here on the Navajo Nation has been from old oil and gas production, where they've also identified helium as an opportunity. The current activity by other companies has focused on producing this helium, and so we will look at that as an option in our development. But for the most part, NOG is trying to pursue an exploration program to identify new resources or new quantities of helium outside of oil and gas fields. And this exploration effort will require some new and different workflows compared to oil and gas. So, for instance, we're doing soil sampling at this point in time in the Untitled Chapter region to identify where surface soil shows higher quantities of helium as compared to background, which is a really small amount. Also, we just completed an aeromag study, which was to fly a plane over the area of interest to be able to identify magnetic faulting images, so that helps us build our geologic models. And then as we move on, if we are if ultimately the council supports agreements on these operating agreements, then we will then conduct seismic surveys to further help us build our geologic model for exploration. Slide number 7 is really just a surface map that highlights where we are currently focused on our activity. NOG has identified 37 potential projects, and that's really scratching the surface. We feel like that there's a significant amount of potential in the Navajo Nation, and we're using all these different technical options to identify additional prospects. So these 37 prospects should be quite, if successful, could be quite lucrative for the Navajo Nation with sales of helium. Slide number 8 gets into the potential value to the Navajo Nation. So these operating agreements call for initially for a bonus to be paid to the Navajo Nation by NOG. Then if we're successful, there will be scholarships, rental payments, and ultimately, sorry, I'm getting some background noise here. So, okay, that's off now.
Hold on.
So rental payments.
James, hold on.
Yeah.
Staff, can you mute that phone? That background music, background noise. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So again, bonus payments paid by NOG to the Navajo Nation. If we're successful, we will have scholarship payments, rental payments during the exploration phase, and then ultimately with production, it becomes royalty, and since NOG is an entity that doesn't pay tax, we actually make a payment in lieu of tax to the nation as well. The combination of the royalty and the PILT is 25%, which is a competitive agreement with the Navajo Nation. And in fact, if you look at agreements off the nation right now, I'd say the Navajo Nation's 25% is probably a little bit above what we find off the nation. So well done by the Minerals Department and their negotiation. If you just assume, I mentioned on the previous slide that there's potentially 37 prospects. If you assume that 10 of those are successful and we sell the helium at around $200 per 1,000 cubic feet, the Helium Development Program could generate $250 to $300 million in economic benefit to the Navajo Nation over the next 10 years. So again, we've currently identified 37 prospects. We're hopeful that all 37 are going to be successful. But with only 10 being successful, you're looking at $250 million of revenue benefit to the Navajo Nation from helium exploration and development. Slide number 9 talks about the benefits to the local chapters. So we've talked to the chapters about this. First and foremost, contract labor jobs could occur during the well and facility construction. We actually are employing some staff currently as we're out doing soil sampling. Then after the initial contract labor work, we will have ongoing operations. Those tend to be more permanent or full-time employment as we operate the wells. We've also communicated that in a success case, we would share some of our profits with the chapter, 1%, to be able to help them with community development projects, whether that's roads, benefits to schools, and so forth. And then as an entity of the Navajo Nation and a company owned by the Navajo people, we see ourselves as an ideal partner for the local chapters and community. We're going to listen to concerns. We're going to address issues. We're going to respond, and that's definitely a commitment as part of our commitment and mission as a company. Slide number 10 talks about what to expect at the community level. When we, as I said earlier, we will begin our efforts with geologic assessments, and this will include soil sampling, seismic surveys, and so forth. The next phase is to move into drilling operations. So you'll see a drilling rig that will show up on a location that will be constructed that will support the drilling rig during the month to 2 months that the well is actually drilled. Once the well is completed as successful, we'll move into the production phase where you'll have a pipeline and facilities that are put in place. The photo on the right here is it's actually a series of valves. We call it a Christmas tree in our industry. So that will then be connected into a facility by pipeline that we can then produce the helium to the surface. And once you get it to the surface, we're able to separate the helium from the other gas components, predominantly nitrogen, to be able to transport helium to market. This will continue during the economic life of the helium resource, which can be, like I said earlier, several years. So slide 11 is my final slide. It really is just a request. I mean, my intent for today, and we'll continue on as we talk to the various committees that will review these operating agreements for final approval before it heads to the council for final vote. But we're trying to seek your support for approval of these operating agreements so that Navajo Nation Oil and Gas can develop helium on the Tohatchi Wash, Beautiful Mountain, and Porcupine Dome. And ultimately, we're here to try to answer any questions that this committee might have on the development of helium. So with that, I thank you again for your time, and we'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, James, for your report. And go ahead and call for a motion.
Delegate Chair motion.
Call for a second motion. Second motion. Second motion going twice.
Second.
Second by who?
Edmund Yazzie.
Thank you, Edmund. Any questions for the presenters? Going once, twice, 3 times. Sherelle, move forth with roll call vote.
Okay, Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate Chair votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene Sill, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Eugene Sill, how do you vote? Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otoso, you have 2 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair not voting. Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Your report has been accepted. Moving on to the next item on agenda. Lorraine, can you read that for us? Thank you.
Vice Chair and members of LOC, the next item is discussion purpose is to reschedule the cross deputy program on the Navajo Nation. This was scheduled on October 11, 2021 due to holiday.
Okay.
The meeting was canceled.
Okay, I'm going to defer that to the next meeting, if that's okay with the committee members. Not hearing anything. I'm gonna defer that report to the next meeting, whenever all the committee members are there. So, with that, I'm gonna go on to the next item on the agenda, 8, closing of the meeting. Any announcements? Go once, twice, 3 times. With that, I'm going to go to a motion to request for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Delegate James.
Adjourn by motion, secondly motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Yagi. Can you proceed with roll call vote? Sherelle, thank you.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate Jane votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 2 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair not voting. Vice Chair.
Thank you. We adjourn at 11:25. Thank you very much, community members and Upper Fruitland Chapter, Navajo Oil and Gas. Be safe. Thank you very much, staff.
Thank you.
Thank you for Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company.